Hi guys. Welcome to My Mother the Narcissist Part 10. This is another trigger warning. We're going to talk about mental and emotional abuse. We're going to talk about homophobia. There's going to be a lot in here in this one. I mentioned before in the previous videos how my stepdad went out of his way to make sure to alienate me from my dad. He would do things like tell my dad to not call anymore because we're his daughters now and we don't belong to him anymore, and to just stop calling. And there were times that my mother would intentionally get my dad arrested. She made the pickup and drop-off point for the child exchange at the police department because she knew he didn't have a driver's license, and sure, he shouldn't have been driving without a driver's license. But she made the pickups there so that she could report he was picking us up without a driver's license, and then he would get arrested for driving on a suspended or revoked license. He would also, she would try to get him in trouble for driving with us, neglect or child endangerment, things like that. I watched him get arrested when I was 12. She said she wasn't going to stay there for it, but it was like she made sure we stayed there and had a front row seat to seeing our dad get arrested. Don't get me wrong, things weren't perfect over at my dad's house either. Every time I went over there, I got lice because he wasn't properly dealing with the lice problem at his house. And being a girl in junior high is already bad enough. But I was getting lice like every 2 weeks and having to deal with that on top of everything else. And so it was very easy for Maggie to convince me that I didn't want to be around my dad. And it was really awful because, it was like I had to choose between a psychotic environment or a dirty one. And neither appealed to me. But I guess I just felt like sticking with the devil I knew. Mainly because I didn't know how to fight her back then. I don't know how to fight her now. She's so hard to combat. Because the narration always changes to whatever she remembers. It's never what the truth was. It's how she twists the truth and narrative to be her story. Makes me wish I'd gotten a chance to talk to my grandfather before he died, because I wasn't able to talk to him from 11 on up because of the fight that he and my mother got into. To be fair, I guess, he married a woman 3 years younger than my mom. He cheated on my grandma to be with her, and there was a lot of bitterness there. So, I don't know. But, when I was in junior high, I definitely was struggling with unaliving myself. I wanted to on a daily basis because my stepdad Dio had come back from jail. That whole car accident thing with his sister. He got like 5 or 6 months at the county jail. I think he did most of it at the Honor Farm. But he was in trouble. He got vehicular assault and child endangerment, something like that. I don't know if his record's been expunged yet. I think they did get it expunged, but he was a felon for pretty much my whole childhood. It's wild to think about that. But I was under a lot of stress when he came back, because it went back to being the same psychotic abusive stuff. And I learned later as an adult, when I went to AA and NA meetings, that my stepdad Dio is what is called a dry alcoholic. They never dealt with what made them an alcoholic in the first place, so even though they quit drinking, they still had the mannerisms and behavior of an alcoholic. And that would include the explosive rage for no reason, and just, gosh, there was so much. And I was basically, Sabrina and I were both basically like little slaves. I'm sorry if that is offensive to anyone. I don't mean it to be, but that's what we were. I wasn't allowed to do my homework if the house was dirty. Like, I wasn't allowed to do anything if the house was dirty. The house had to be spotless continuously. I was 12. My sister was 8, and the entire household was our job. The dishes, the kitchen, I'm talking about, we had to do the counters, the fridge, the floors, the table. I had to do all of the kitchen, all of the living room. I had to do all of the bathroom. I had to do my bedroom. And on top of that, I was taking care of my brother and my sister. Dio was like 6 months old, and I was doing everything. I was changing diapers. I was feeding him. I was taking him outside to play. My grades were doing so bad, and I just remember all my teachers getting mad at me, and it's just, I remember thinking, like, why does no one see that I am drowning? I was a little kid, and my teachers kept telling me I just had excuses for everything, and it was just, they didn't realize I was making excuses for my parents. I was drowning, and I was letting myself drown because I was so afraid of them. I remember one time I was trying to get ready for school, and I was trying to leave, and they were having a screaming match in the living room, and the only way out of the house was if I either A, climbed out of my bedroom window, or B, walked out the front door. And I was too afraid to climb out the bedroom window because I didn't want to take out the screen and damage it and get in trouble for that. So I just tried walking out the front door. My mom grabbed me by my hair and dragged me back into the house. And then once they were done, abusing each other and abusing me for trying to leave the situation, we went and had a family day in San Francisco. I hated that so much. Anytime any kind of abuse happened, it was followed with a day trip of some sorts, where we could make a fun memory to cover up the bad one. There were so many bad ones. And I think because I was fed and cared for, that I had a good childhood, that they weren't bad parents. They won't even acknowledge the things that they did. They tell me I'm delusional and that I'm making these things up. I'm not. We're out of time. I plan on posting another one tonight, but it won't be till later. Thank you guys for being on this journey with me. May God bless you and keep you safe. Always.